Some of the jumps in Terminator 3 need a setup to be executed, but in this video I'm going to show you some of the jumps that are not used in speedruns, so there is no setup. I'm going to show you one of the most precise jumps in the whole series, so I hope you enjoy the video. Starting with the River Ganges. We use a banana jump to skip a small area where we normally need a quad, and after the banana jump you can actually jump back into a small cave. It is a 4-block jump and it's nearly pixel perfect, and you also have to press action to jump a bigger distance, otherwise you won't reach it. It requires a jump at the very last moment, otherwise you will either slide down the slope or you will not make it onto the block. You also have to land on the right side, otherwise you will not make it, because on the right side the block is a bit lower. However, if you stick close to the right side when you start to jump, there is a small bug that can happen and you will just void. There is no way to recover and you have to reload your save. Since the jump is nearly pixel perfect, I would still only give it a 7 out of 10 with the difficulty, because there are still some more precise jumps than this coming. Going a bit further in the level, we have 2 more difficult jumps, but it's not as precise as the first jump. One of the jumps is a 2.5 block jump over the river, and the only category where it's useful is max percent and crystal percent. Otherwise you will not see this jump in any kind of speedrun. Since this jump is not very difficult, I would give it a 3 out of 10. The other jump is next to the first one. It's a banana jump around the wall over the river, and you can practice your banana skills here because you can just jump around the wall the whole time. The banana jumps are more difficult because you have to jump 2 blocks, and this is why I would give it a 5 out of 10. When you go into Coastal Village, there is a cave that you're going to enter, and you have to do a banana jump to skip a small part where you have to shimmy. The jump itself is not really difficult, it's only the ceiling that's a bit low, so this is why I would only give it a 4 out of 10. Not far from here you can find the bridge jump. The bridge jump is used in the glitchless category and it requires a setup to be executed. You have to hit the wall on the left side to get pushed to the right a little bit. Also you have to jump at the very last moment, otherwise you will not make it. In addition to that, you also have to press action to reach the bridge, and then you will just barely reach it by 1 pixel. Since the jump is super difficult, I would give it a 10 out of 10 because it's nearly impossible to be executed without the setup. For the next jump I would really appreciate if someone could make a setup because it's super difficult to execute. It requires a tunnel jump to skip the spikes with the trapdoor. However, if you miss it a little bit, you will just die in the spikes. Even if you find a way how to get into there, you need to find another way how to get out of there, because we need to do another tunnel jump to exit this room. It would save around 30 seconds with a good setup, because we can skip a big part that we have to go in secret percent. The jumps are not as precise as the bridge jump, but it's still a really difficult one, so I would give it a 9 out of 10 here. In that skate there is a jump that you can do to avoid the damage from the barbed wire. Because the jump is so difficult, nobody can really use it in any percent, even though it would save a little bit of time. If you miss the jump you will either fall into barbed wire and die, or you will fall onto the slope and you will not save any time. The jump is super difficult to execute because you don't only have to land on the correct pixel with the height of the slope, you also have to land on the correct pixel to the right of the slope. Because if you land a little bit too low, you will roll down into the barbed wire and die, and if you land a bit too far to the right, you will just jump into the barbed wire and die. This is why I would give it a 10 out of 10 here. In Madupu there is a jump that you can do that is similar to the first jump that we did in River Ganges. It could be useful for dead runs in any percent, because it saves a little bit of time. You have to land on the higher block instead of the lower one that we go for in any percent. It is a precise jump, but it's not as precise as the jump in the River Ganges, because the platform where you jump from is a bit higher here. This is why I would give it a 6 out of 10. The next jumps are not far from here. We actually go for these jumps in any percent, but the difference is that there is an outcome that you can get that is more than just pixel perfect. You have to jump from the lowest part of the stair to keep running and not get a stumble, and after you jump from the slope and do the wall run jump, you also have to keep running. This is called an M-man jump because you have to jump from the correct pixel to not get a stumble here. Avoiding 2 stumbles 2 times in a row is extremely difficult, and this is I would give it a 10 out of 10. The last difficult jump in Madupu can only be seen in crystal percent and max percent. You have to do 2 banana jumps to go back to the first kayak. It is not very precise, but it's still difficult to do, because the first one is only a 1 block banana jump, but the second one is a 2 blocks banana jump. However, I would only give it a 5 out of 10 here, because with a little bit of practice it's not that hard to execute. For the end of the video I'm going to show you a jump that you might have seen from the other direction. In Tinos you can do the bridge jump, as you might know, but you can actually do this jump backwards as well. The ceiling is very low, which is why it's super difficult to execute. I would even give it a 10 out of 10 here, because you have to jump from the highest point onto the lowest point. If you know about other difficult jumps in Tomb Raider, feel free to leave a comment, and for now I'm going to wish you a great day and thanks for watching.